In a medicineless hospital in China, a woman's cancer tumor disappeared while doctors stood by chanting a single word. What's more unbelievable? It was all caught on video. How did they harness the power of belief to achieve the impossible? Stay with me as we explore this astonishing story and what it means for the untapped potential of your own mind. What if the simple belief in a harmless sugar pill could trigger real healing in your body? This is the placebo effect, and although it might sound like wishful thinking packaged as science, it's anything but. Once viewed as a curiosity for skeptics to scoff at, it's now a core area of research in medicine and psychology, revealing surprising truths about the power of belief and the connection between the mind and body. One of the most compelling aspects of the placebo effect is just how far it can go. Imagine undergoing surgery for a torn knee ligament. You expect a skilled surgeon to mend the damage, but instead, nothing is actually repaired. The surgeon only makes an incision and stitches you back up. For many patients in studies comparing real surgeries to placebo surgeries, their recovery and relief have been nearly identical to those who received the actual operation. In one groundbreaking study led by Dr. Bruce Moseley, patients with knee osteoarthritis were split into two groups. One underwent real arthroscopic surgery, while the other was given a sham procedure where no therapeutic intervention took place. The results? Both groups reported significant pain reduction and improved mobility, leaving researchers baffled. What could explain this? It wasn't the empty procedure that healed them, it was their belief in the treatment itself. Psychologically, the placebo effect ties deeply into expectation and trust. When we take a pill or undergo a surgery that we believe will heal us, our body begins to respond as if it actually will. The brain acts like a command center, sending out signals that influence our biology. For instance, studies have shown that taking a placebo painkiller can trigger the release of endorphins, the body's natural pain relief chemicals, purely because the brain anticipates relief. The same holds true for anti-anxiety medications. Placebo versions have been observed to lower heart rates and even reduce cortisol levels, which is the body's main stress hormone. It's not a trick, but an intricate dance between the mind's expectations and the body's physiological systems. And it's not just pills or fake surgeries. It seems our mindset can alter physical outcomes in much broader ways. For one particularly remarkable example, we return to the medicineless hospital in China. Here, patients worked closely with practitioners who chanted in unison, visualized healing, and created an environment of steadfast belief. In one documented case, a tumor, visibly diminished in size during a session of chanting, caught on live ultrasound imaging. It wasn't magic, and no drugs or invasive treatments were used. So what happened? While skeptics may point to all sorts of unexplored variables, the undeniable takeaway is that the body and mind were working together to trigger a cascade of biological reactions. Science offers us more concrete clues about how placebo treatments activate these healing abilities. Functional MRI studies, for example, have revealed that placebos increase activity in specific brain regions, such as the prefrontal cortex and the brain's reward pathways. These areas play critical roles in processing expectation and emotional regulation, both of which significantly influence physiological functions. When someone truly believes in a treatment, even if it's inactive, these brain regions seem to ignite and set off complex interactions within the body, like reducing inflammation or altering blood flow to areas of pain or injury. This raises an interesting question. Is the placebo effect really all about deception, Or does it reveal something more profound about human biology? The answer may surprise you. Researchers are now exploring open-label placebos, pills that patients are explicitly told contain no active ingredients, and finding that they still produce measurable effects. In one study involving individuals with irritable bowel syndrome, patients taking open-label placebos experienced significant symptom relief compared to a control group who received nothing. They knew the pill was inert, but the act of taking it alongside the understanding of its potential still appeared to trigger healing. This shows that it's not about being tricked, it's about how belief interacts with biological mechanisms. What makes the placebo effect so extraordinary isn't just that it happens, but that it can be studied, measured, and reproduced. Over decades of research, evidence has solidified this mind-body phenomenon. It demonstrates that the mind isn't just a passive observer of the body, but an active participant in our physical well-being. What used to be dismissed as anecdotal nonsense is now reshaping fields like neuroscience and medicine as scientists uncover more about just how tightly linked our thoughts and physiology really are. So, what does it all mean? If something as intangible as belief can reduce pain, speed recovery, or ease chronic conditions, then what else might the mind be capable of? This question has fueled countless studies and continues to challenge what we think we know about human potential. There's no denying that the placebo effect serves as powerful evidence. We are far more deeply connected to our biology than we might realize. But here's where the story takes an intriguing turn. Healing with belief is just one part of the equation. If our thoughts can influence the body, what happens when they begin to reshape the brain itself? Let's explore the concept of neuroplasticity and what it reveals about our ability to rewire the mind. Imagine for a moment that your brain isn't a fixed machine, but a vibrant, ever-changing network, one that rewires itself in response to what you do, learn, or even think. This ability, called neuroplasticity, is one of the most groundbreaking discoveries about the brain in modern neuroscience. It means that your mind can shape itself, building new connections and reorganizing old ones, just like a living, breathing system of extraordinary adaptability. One of the clearest examples of neuroplasticity in action comes from stories of stroke recovery. A stroke can leave entire areas of the brain damaged, leading to the loss of functions like speech or movement. But for many patients, recovery isn't just a matter of physical therapy, it's proof of the brain's remarkable ability to adapt. Through repetitive tasks, mental focus, and deliberate physical exercises, the brain can reroute itself. For example, if one area responsible for controlling hand movement is damaged, another region may learn to take over this role. Intensive rehabilitation pushes the brain to form new neural pathways, effectively bridging the gaps left by damage. It's not fast or easy, but these cases serve as a powerful reminder. Even after trauma, the brain continues to build, grow, and adapt. But neuroplasticity isn't just about recovery. It's also the reason why practices like meditation can transform your brain in measurable ways. Studies using brain imaging have shown that long-term meditators develop increased gray matter in areas like the prefrontal cortex. This part of the brain is involved in decision-making, attention, and self-awareness. The hippocampus, critical for memory and learning, also shows structural changes in meditators. These changes don't happen overnight, but emerge slowly through consistent practice, demonstrating that mental habits, like physical ones, shape the structure and function of the brain. This adaptability doesn't fade with age either. While it's true that younger brains are more flexible, the brain remains plastic well into adulthood and even into old age. This fact overturns the outdated idea that you're stuck with the brain you were born with. Older adults who learn a new language, master a musical instrument, or practice mindfulness aren't just acquiring skills, they're actually changing the architecture of their brains. It goes to show that it's never too late to create change. New neural connections can form, and weaker ones can grow stronger through practice, showing the brain's resilience and capacity for lifelong transformation. Take a moment to think about how intentional focus plays a role in this process. Visualization, for example, has been shown to strengthen neural pathways in ways that mirror physical action. Athletes are a great example of this. Those who practice mentally rehearsing their movements often perform better during actual competitions. It's as though the brain doesn't differentiate much between imagining an action and performing it. Similarly, mindfulness practices strengthen neural connections tied to attention and emotional regulation. The more you practice focusing your thoughts, the easier it becomes for your brain to support those patterns on its own. If the idea still feels intangible, think of your brain like a gym for mental fitness. Just as you would lift weights to build muscle, repeating certain mental exercises strengthens neural muscles. This is why habits form. Each time a neuron fires to complete a task or react to a situation, the pathway becomes a little stronger. Over time, these pathways become the default route, allowing your brain to perform tasks more efficiently. The more consistent your practice, whether it's meditation, learning, or goal setting, the more your brain cooperates by supporting those efforts with structural changes. Neuroplasticity not only reshapes what we can do, but also changes how we understand ourselves. Think about the significance of knowing that your brain can rewire itself in response to deliberate mental practices. What might you be able to change about how you think, feel, or act if you took advantage of this process? The good news is, the answer doesn't require guesswork. Science shows us that even small shifts in routine mental actions, like daily meditation, focused visualization, or actively trying to learn something new, are enough to kickstart these changes. The implications are massive. If a stroke survivor can regain speech through practice and effort, if a meditator can literally thicken the gray matter in their brain, then what else might be possible? Every thought, action, or decision to engage your mind has the potential to reshape your brain's wiring. It's a concept that feels empowering because it means we aren't stuck. No matter your age, your habits, or even the challenges you face, your brain is ready to adapt if you give it the tools to do so. And that brings us to a pivotal idea. The brain doesn't just respond to stimulus passively. Instead, it reshapes itself in response to the focus and intention we bring to our experiences. But here's a question: can that intention extend beyond rewiring our own brains to reshaping how we interact with the world itself? Let's move from how the brain adapts to how the power of focused attention can actively shape reality, starting with what science is uncovering about the power of intention. Could your thoughts really alter the way you experience reality? It might sound exaggerated, but some of the most fascinating evidence suggests this isn't just a philosophical question, it's measurable. Intention, or the act of focusing your mental energy on a specific goal or idea, isn't just about setting plans. It's about creating actual, tangible changes in how you interact with the world. Science backs this up in ways that might surprise you, showing how directed thought affects both your mind and your body. Take athletes, for instance. Sports psychologists have long encouraged visualization as a way to improve performance, and the results are remarkable. Imaging studies show that when athletes mentally rehearse their actions, whether it's a gymnast practicing their routine in their head or a basketball player picturing the perfect free throw, their brains activate in ways almost identical to performing the task physically. This isn't a small shift. Neurons associated with those movements fire repetitively, strengthening the neural pathways needed for success. What's more, athletes often report that these drills make them feel more confident in real-world scenarios, and their results reflect that. It's as if intention primes their minds and bodies for peak performance before they even step onto the court or field. This connection between thought and physical experience isn't limited to elite performers. In studies involving average participants, visualization has been shown to boost measurable outcomes in everything from muscle strength to skill acquisition. For example, one intriguing experiment involved participants imagining themselves flexing a muscle without actually moving. Over several weeks, the mental practice alone led to real, measurable increases in muscle strength. How does that happen? The brain doesn't seem to distinguish sharply between what is imagined and what is real. To your subconscious, thinking about flexing can signal the body to prepare for actual movement, producing physiological changes. And the subconscious plays a key role here. It's the silent driver of much of what we do, shaping everything from our habits to our perception of the world. Interestingly, scientists believe the subconscious cannot tell the difference between a vividly imagined event and one that happens in real life. This is why mental rehearsal, a core component of intentional focus, has such a powerful impact. The subconscious reacts physiologically as if the thought is a fact, releasing stress hormones, activating neural circuits, or even triggering subtle shifts in heart rate. This connection can explain why practices like affirmations or goal setting often feel more concrete than mere wishful thinking. When you repeatedly focus on a specific outcome, you're essentially training your subconscious to treat it as your new normal, influencing your behaviors and responses without you necessarily realizing it. Experiments have also explored whether intention can extend beyond the body. Consider research where participants were asked to focus their mental energy on an external event, such as influencing the outcome of random number generators. While still a controversial area of study, some experiments suggest that at the very least, focused attention can align perception and behavior to create meaningful patterns. Other studies have shown how intention reshapes how we interpret our surroundings, heightening sensory awareness, or even making us more attuned to opportunities we might have otherwise missed. It's less about mystical cause and effect, and more about how intention changes the lens through which we perceive reality. In everyday life, you see echoes of this principle. Think about goal setting for a moment. When you set a clear intention, such as learning a new language or improving your fitness, you're not just making a plan, you're setting a psychological framework. Repeated focus on your goal activates the brain's reward system, releasing dopamine when you make progress and reinforcing the path to success. Over time, this process reprograms your habits. It's as if your intention acts as an internal compass, not only steering you toward the goal, but also adjusting your body and mind to make the journey smoother. Similarly, affirmations, a practice as simple as repeating positive phrases to yourself, leverage the same mechanisms. When you affirm something intentionally, such as "I am capable" or "I will succeed," you're training both your conscious and subconscious mind to adopt those beliefs as facts. Over time, the emotional charge tied to that affirmation reshapes how you act and feel. It's a small habit with outsized effects, grounded not in magic, but in well-understood principles of neurobiology and learned behavior. So, how far can intention take us? If it can help athletes achieve higher performance, and it can set the stage for personal breakthroughs, could it also tap into capabilities we don't even know we have? This is where things get particularly fascinating. Intention alone has limits, but when paired with altered mental states like meditation, hypnosis, or flow experiences, it might unlock even greater potential. After all, many of history's greatest breakthroughs and creative leaps have occurred when people stepped out of routine thinking and into expanded mental states.
What makes intention so compelling is that it shows just how active your role is in shaping your experience of reality. You're not simply observing the world, you're participating in it, deciding what to focus on, and, in so doing, influencing how it unfolds. Yet, it's worth wondering, what happens when we step away from ordinary cognition altogether and access entirely new states of awareness? Let's take a closer look at altered states of consciousness and the remarkable doors they might open. What if the untapped potential of your mind isn't hidden in what you already think you know, but in states of awareness you've never explored? Altered states of consciousness, whether through meditation, breathwork, or even hypnosis, offer a glimpse into this potential, with effects that are often both surprising and transformative. These states don't just provide a sense of peace or relaxation, they fundamentally shift how the mind and body interact, unlocking capabilities that usually remain dormant in our everyday mode of thinking. Take meditation, for example. A practice as simple as sitting in stillness has been shown to stimulate extraordinary changes in the brain. But beyond the structural changes that come from consistent practice, meditation also induces altered states defined by distinct brainwave activity. Theta waves, often associated with deep relaxation and a bridge to the subconscious, become increasingly dominant during certain types of meditation. These slow brainwaves reflect access to mental patterns we don't usually engage with, creating powerful opportunities for transformation. Research even suggests that the mind becomes extremely receptive in these states, which could explain why meditators often report heightened creativity, clarity, and emotional breakthroughs. Then there's breathwork, a seemingly basic act of controlling your breathing that can completely alter your brain chemistry and shift how you perceive yourself and the world. Unlike meditation, which typically eases you gently into altered states, breathwork can propel you there with surprising intensity. People who engage in practices like holotropic breathwork often describe sensations ranging from deep emotional release to transcendent experiences that feel disconnected from time and space. Physiologically, controlled breathing affects oxygen and carbon dioxide levels in the blood, which in turn influences brain activity, creating an environment for heightened awareness and new insights. One of the most compelling examples of altered states unlocking seemingly impossible potential comes from Dynamo Jack, a healer who demonstrated the ability to channel energy through his body and direct it into others. He referred to this energy as chi, a concept rooted in ancient practices. What made his demonstrations extraordinary wasn't just the claims, but the physical effects he produced, observed by intrigued researchers and skeptics alike. Jack described entering a meditative state to direct this force, which he claimed was the result of years of specific training. Whether you view his abilities as an anomaly or as proof of deeper mind-body capabilities, his case raises intriguing questions about the extent of what altered states can achieve. Another striking example comes from the Medicineless Hospital in Beijing, where practitioners paired focused intention with chanting to facilitate rapid healing. Patients there, some with life-threatening conditions, participated in these sessions where the focus was on experiencing the feeling of being already healed. In one particularly unforgettable case, a woman's bladder tumor shrank visibly in less than 3 minutes during a healing session, all while chanting chants filled the room. It wasn't hypnotism or sleight of hand. Practitioners explained that their method relied on entering an altered state of connection, combining deep intention with visualization of the desired result. While skeptics continued to debate the details, the mind's undeniable role in the process is what fascinates researchers and scientists to this day. When looking at altered states scientifically, it becomes easier to understand their power. Research shows that during these states, the brain switches patterns of activity. Theta brainwave activity, which dominates in these moments, is also present when we dream or are in light stages of sleep, times when the subconscious takes center stage. Some altered states even influence gamma waves, which are associated with bursts of insight, heightened creativity, and unifying ideas. This isn't just abstract, it's measurable, showing that the brain doesn't operate the same way in these states as it does during our waking, problem-solving mindset.
What's especially fascinating is how these states seem to tap into deeper layers of the subconscious mind, triggering shift in both perception and body. When the conscious mind becomes quieter, the doors to the subconscious, the part of your mind that shapes habits, emotions, and even physical responses, open wider. This shift creates a space for healing, breakthrough ideas, and even access to abilities that feel almost otherworldly. Yet there's nothing particularly mystical about this. What might feel extraordinary has its roots in how the brain and body work together when we let go of rigid linear thinking. Even outside of formal practices, altered states can emerge spontaneously. Think about those moments when you lose track of time or when a wave of inspiration hits while you're daydreaming. These naturally occurring states mimic many of the qualities people aim to cultivate through breathwork or meditation. The difference is that intentional practices allow us to access these states deliberately, giving us greater control over how to use them. These examples point to something we often overlook. The extraordinary rarely resides far from the ordinary. Through breath, focus, and intention, altered states become accessible to anyone, offering tools to accelerate healing, spark creativity, or uncover insights buried deep in the mind. Modern science, alongside experiential evidence, suggests that unlocking these states may not just transform individuals, it could even reshape what we think human potential can truly mean. But what do these experiences reveal about the depths of consciousness itself? Are these states merely a product of biology, or do they point to something more? Whatever the answer, altered states don't just inspire questions. They provide practical techniques to explore the answers for yourself. And that brings us to our final point, a reflection on how all of these phenomena, from the placebo effect to brain rewiring and now altered states, tie together to showcase that the power of the mind is real, measurable, and profoundly transformative. The power of your mind isn't some mystical concept, it's a measurable reality backed by science. The placebo effect, for example, shows us that belief alone can spark healing, while neuroplasticity proves the brain can physically reshape itself with focused thought. These aren't just abstract ideas, they're part of a growing body of evidence that points to how deeply connected our thoughts, bodies, and actions truly are. What ancient wisdom hinted at, science is now beginning to confirm. The big question remains, what potential lies within you, waiting to be unlocked? Your journey to explore it starts with just one thought.